Bad Boys for Life is the latest film in the Bad Boys movie franchise, and can you believe that this shit started 25 years ago? That's a long time ago. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith were babies. Michael Bay, the director, was directing his first movie ever, and here we are 25 years later with the third entry, and unfortunately Michael Bay is not here this time around. Does it hurt the film? I think it does, and I'll talk about that. So this time around, the two detectives played by Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, they are detectives Marcus Burnett and Mike Lowrey. You just gotta say his name like that, Mike Lowrey. So they're close to retirement age. In fact, Detective Marcus Burnett, Martin Lawrence's character, does want to retire. He just has a brand new grandbaby, and a really fun throwback to Bad Boys 2, by the way. It all ties in that way. So he wants to just settle down. He's had enough of this shit. But Will Smith's character, Mike Lowrey, he still wants to do his thing. He wants to go to shootouts and be a playboy and all that. And so they're conflicted on that level. But then a villain comes around who has a personal vendetta against Mike Lowrey. So shit has to they gotta get together, work together for one last ride. That's how it always is, right? So I'll just say this film definitely misses Michael Bay. And love him or hate him, Michael Bay brings tons of energy to his movies. And personally, I'll admit that I love Michael Bay, except for the Transformers movies. The Transformers movies can just kiss my ass, I hate them. But that being said, everything he's done outside of Transformers, I really enjoyed. Bad Boys 1 and 2, The Rock, Armageddon, The Island, 13 Hours, Pain and Glory. These are all great fun films and lots of energy, lots of exciting action scenes. The humor, yeah, it can get a little childish, all the films, but still yet there's an attempt of injecting this energy in there with the humor as well. And that's definitely missing from this movie. I looked up who the directors were for this film. I have no idea who they are. Some foreign guys, I think from Europe maybe. They haven't really done anything significant. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad film, but it's just not a Bad Boys film in my opinion. It's funny, but it's not as funny as the previous movies. It has good action, but the action isn't as great as it was in the previous movies. It has some energy, but not as much energy as the previous films. You know what I'm saying? So it just brings everything like 2 notches down from the previous Bad Boys films. So that was what was disappointing to me as a fan, a big fan of the previous Bad Boys movies. I like to see that banter between Smith and Lawrence, and yes, some of that was there, but the dialogue wasn't as sharp, it wasn't as funny as it was in previous films. The action was decent, it was okay, but when you compare it to Michael Bay's Bayhem, holy shit, that freeway chase scene in Bad Boys 2, oh brah, that shit was crazy. There's nothing like that here. And Michael Bay's action scenes in most of his movies, in fact, they're shot in broad daylight. You can see everything that's going on despite all the fast choppy editing, but you know what's happening, and that's really impressive to watch. But this film, a lot of the action happens in dark scenes, and you have a hard time kind of telling what's going on, and that's a common thing with a lot of action directors where they try to hide stuff by filming in dark environments, and I just can't stand that. I'm not saying the action is bad, the action is actually pretty decent. And overall the film is a pretty decent action movie if it wasn't a Bad Boys movie. If it was just a new film starring Martin Lawrence and Will Smith as a buddy cop movie, I was, hey, that's not bad, it's a pretty good movie. But as a Bad Boys film, I must say I was disappointed. And the villains, I think I mentioned it before, they did do a good job of making the villains more interesting this time around. The previous villains were just kind of random drug dealers trying to take the cops down, but this time around there is a very personal story and connection to Smith and Lawrence. But they took it one level too far, if you ask me. There's one level of connection that I didn't feel was necessary, and it kind of just was out of left field and didn't have any connection to any previous character history before. So I'm like, whoa, that's new, and it's really new, and it just wasn't necessary. They could have done a really good revenge film even without that extra factor that was thrown in, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. And yeah, this whole film, it just seemed like even with the end credits scene, it just kind of turns into a Fast and Furious kind of thing where like they're trying to build this universe now and kind of just lead into more sequels, and I didn't really care for that. That's not what Bad Boys do. Bad Boys, they just shoot shit up, they crack jokes, and they drive fast cars, and it's a fun movie. This movie just wasn't that fun for me. So if you're a big Bad Boys movie fan like I am, I think you'd be a little disappointed in Bad Boys for Life just because it's not at the same high energy level as the previous films. The humor is a notch down or two down. The action is a notch or two down, so it's not quite at that high level. Yeah, these actors are older, I understand that, and they could have done maybe a little bit more with that. But at the same time, you know, it is an action buddy cop movie and you're expecting more. Oh, I didn't mention the side team, the ammo team that they have to work with. I did like them, I just kind of wish they had more of an impact. Vanessa Hudgens, who I really like, she's part of that ammo tactical team that the detectives team up with, and she just kind of disappeared. Her character is there. She's actually billed number 3 behind Lawrence and Smith, but she's pretty invisible for the movie. One guy, he's kind of like the asshole douchebag character. He was kind of good, and there's another guy who's a big buff bouncer guy, but he's only a tech IT guy. So that was, his character was kind of funny as well. So they were okay. I didn't mind them. I actually wouldn't have minded if there was more of them, along with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, to be honest. But so they were kind of a good addition to the movie. But overall, yeah, the film just didn't quite bring it to the level I wanted it to be. If you are a fan of the Bad Boys movies like I am, you'll probably be a little disappointed. If you didn't like the first 2 Bad Boys movies, what the hell's wrong with you? Those movies are really good. Just kidding. So yeah, Bad Boys for Life, like I said, it's a pretty good action movie, just not a great Bad Boys movie, so I was a little disappointed. So for me, Bad Boys for Life gets a 6 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching my review. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel, MC on Film, for more reviews in the future.